All right, it is 7 o'clock. Are we ready to start? Welcome to the Oquirrh Mountain District Roundtable for the Council Roundtable today, October 1st. Today we're going to have our agenda as, so before people got here, we had them network and try and socialize. I didn't hear a lot of socialization going on, but the whole goal of Roundtable is to help us to be able to meet new people, create new relationships, and be able to make friends. And that's why I come to Scout still. So if you haven't already, make sure that you use the chat and chat with different people within the group. Try and find out what their name is, what their position is, and what their favorite food is. Generally, when we have our roundtables, we have door prizes. So if you're in the Oquirrh Mountain District, make sure that you come because you might get some good door prizes. But thank you guys for all being here. We are going to start our meeting with Duty to God. So Stuart Show from the Timpanogos District will be offering our opening prayer. So please give him your undivided attention and please remove all non-religious headgear.
Our dear Father in heaven, as we come before thee at the beginning of our meeting tonight, our council roundtable meeting, we pray that thy spirit might be with us and with all those who participate, with those who are presenting, that they might do so in a manner that will be a blessing to each and every one of us who are here. We ask thee to be with all the scouts and their leaders, and that they may be watched over and blessed. And we ask for these blessings in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Now, Dan from Oquirrh Mountain will now do the flag and the pledge.
Okay. Well, I guess we just have to face if you got a flag. There you go. Please salute. Repeat the Pledge of Allegiance after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2.
Thank you. And Master Harold Bowman will now do the Scout Oath Law and Outdoor Code.
Scout sign. On my honor, I will do my best
to do my duty
to God and my country, and to obey the Scout law. Help other people at all times. Keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. The Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. As an American, I will do my best to be clean in my outdoor manners, be careful with fire, be considerate in the outdoors, and be conservation minded. 2.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Today, what we're going to start with are our hot topics and tell some announcements, or for those that don't like the word announcements, some business items. So I'm going to make this bigger for you guys to be able to see this better. So for our announcements, rechartering is coming up soon. So if you are within the different units or whatever, talk to your district key 3 about some of the new changes that have happened with the rechartering for this year. If you are a district key 3, make sure that you know those changes. And if you don't, see your district executive. Next thing is training. Hazardous weather training is now going to be required every year. I'm going to say that again. Hazardous weather required every year. It is a new update, so we need to make sure that we are taking care of that training. Also, we have other leadership development training. So I'm going to click and go to that right now. And it opened up in my other screen. So mandatory is youth protection training and hazardous weather training. Make sure that you do those trainings. As a council, we are not doing well in trainings. So we need to be better with our trainings. If you haven't gotten trained, you can find this on utahscouts.org/trainings. If you know people that need to have trainings, have them go to this. And then there's position-specific training. There are a lot of different leader-specific trainings available for you guys. So if you're just starting, there's some for you. If you are a commissioner, there's some for you. Please make sure that you log on and check to see that your training is up to date. Next, planning for summer camps. It is October already, and summer camps are starting to open up for next year. So if you are planning on going to a specific summer camp, start the process of trying to get into those camps. That's what I'm going to have to say about that. Right now, between September 7th and November 11th is the popcorn fundraiser. So the popcorn fundraiser, there is still time to be able to participate in this on utahscouts.org/popcorn. It says right here for October 9th, there will be a second popcorn unit distribution. And then you guys can take orders and get those orders done and turned in, and all that's due by November 4th. Thursday, November 14th is the take order unit distribution, and payments are due to council by the 2nd. You do get the 33% base rate and 2% unit sales exceeding 5,000 in product, or no product is returned. So there's more details on the popcorn site. Okay, next. The October 19th, Fall Festival and Auction. So every year, the council does a festival and auction to be able to benefit scouting. They have a lot of cool things. More information can be found at the Fall Festival site, which is utahscouts.org/auction. You are always welcome to come to these. There's going to be a silent auction starting on October 15th to the 19th, just right before the actual in-person auction starts. And they always have good stuff. And this is going to be at Thanksgiving Point Show Barn in Lehigh on October 19th. There, to get registered, you can go to utahscouts.org/auction, and there's different sponsorship levels. And then you can donate different things. So they're always looking for extra items. So if you work for a company that can offer a trip somewhere, or you work for a place that does hunting, guiding, you can present those things to the council, and they can auction some of those experiences off, which is awesome. Let's see. Next. Jamboree on the internet. So for those that like to do the jamboree type things, October 19th, there is a jamboree on the internet, and that is going to be at a specific location. That location is the Utah State University Merrill Kaiser Library in Logan, Utah. And what they're doing with that is there are 3 available time slots, and basically you need to register early. Only 40 scouts are allowed per session. for a total of 120. So if you haven't gotten in and it's closed, I don't know what to tell you. But that would be something interesting for some of the youth that you have. Next on the agenda is the memorabilia auction and traderie. So for those people that love patches, because I think most scouts love patches, I know I do. The memorabilia and traderie event will be on October 25th and 26th. We encourage all people to come. Units are available, or units can come and they can camp overnight. And some of the youth can work on different merit badges. So the collecting merit badge and stuff like that. So please go, it's fun. And then if, I think it's, I don't remember how much exactly it is. I'll click on the memorabilia auction site. Here it is. It's $5 admission, and that's includes a bib number and a participant shoulder patch. And then if you want to eat dinner, breakfast, or lunch, those are $7 a piece. I would highly suggest.
If scouts come, there's no fee if they're in uniform, unless they want the patch and dinner.
Right. So it says right here, for scout units, free to scout units. And they're working on collections and scouting heritage. Okay. Next, the Oquirrh Mountain District, our district is having a turkey shoot on October 26th. So that's that Saturday at the Lee K Center. The turkey shoot information is online. Here's a copy of the flyer. So with the flyer, we want to have different teams. So it is $175 per team of 5 people, or $40 an individual. You will need to provide your own shotguns and your own shells. Nita Orgill is in charge of this. So for more information, please contact her. She is the Oquirrh Mountain District Executive. Okay. Next, November 9th and December 6th and 7th. November 9th, there's range safety officer training for those interested. And then December 6th and 7th is rifle instructor training. That training can be found on the Utah Scouts site. So when we click on training, it will be utahscouts.org/activities. And then there's the different activities, the approved ranges, get registered for the different courses. Range safety officer is $30 and rifle instructor course is $85. And both of those are at Camp Tracy. So close by if you live near Salt Lake City. If you don't, it's still a great place to go and highly recommended. Next, Wasatch Peaks on November 23rd is having a Pinewood Derby. With the Pinewood Derby, they want as many people to come. It's not just for people of their district. It is also for a good recruiting activity. So if you have other youth that want to participate, you're welcome to be able to invite them. That information is online, Open Sesame. Oops. So that is from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Tim Dale dealership in South Jordan. And registration will be open until October 14th. For a flyer, awards for racing and car designs will be given. Bring a friend not currently in scouting. All right, those are the main things that I have. The last announcement is about scouting for food. Lorna Kosi will be giving us a little bit more information on scouting for food. So Lorna, are you here?
David, this is Doug. Lorna is not with us.
Okay.
I don't think we were aware that she was planning to be on this one. I thought it was gonna be in January, but I can give you a little bit of information there. February 8th will in fact be the date of the primary Scouting for Food Day, where everybody that's involved with Smith's Food Stores will be requesting food of shoppers in front of the stores, etc. For the other partners, that will be going on. Things will be going on for the week prior to that. It'll basically just be a 1-week event this time instead of 2 weeks, with the main date being on the 8th. There will be a lot more information coming, but there will be plenty to do for all scout units who want to be involved, and we're hoping that all will want to be, and there will be more information forthcoming soon.
Thank you, Doug. So if you haven't experienced the scouting for food, it's really fun. It is a lot of work sometimes, but Lorna likes to try and make sure that things run smoothly. She's great to work with. I know that each district usually has to have a representative for the scouting for food. So if we haven't got those representatives, we need to make sure that that gets done, and Lorna knows about it. Doug, did you have something else that you wanted to add to that?
Just that for those of you who are not aware about this event, it is a tremendous opportunity for scout units of all kinds to have a significant impact in the community in terms of providing food to those in need, as well as an opportunity to get out in front of the public and make our presence known in the community. Hardly one of these goes by without us hearing stories about scout units having shoppers walk up to them and things like that saying, we didn't realize scouts were still in Utah. So this is a great opportunity for that, as well as an opportunity to recruit, because you may well have people come up to you and say, how can my son or daughter get involved in this?
Thank you, Doug. He's totally right. Now, if you are in a smaller town, so I know out here in Tooele, generally they do the pickups and stuff at the Smiths. I know that out here we did, we got some of the local grocery stores to be able to let us be there to be able to collect food. And what we had to do was we had to actually get the food, gather it, and take it to our local food bank and weigh it, and then get that those weights to Lorna so that those could be reported. So if you live in a smaller town, I talked to your local supermarkets and asked to see if they would be willing to let you guys come. It is something that is great to be able to participate in, and it really does make a difference. So David Augustin, I know you are on here. Did you have any other announcements that you wanted to add for the whole group before we go to our district breakouts?
Nope, I think we're good.
Okay, sounds good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to district breakouts for our district announcements. So commissioners for those different districts, the goal is 8 minutes. So try and be quick with your announcements so that we can get back. But if you need, well, so Annalise.
Hold on.
Sorry, go ahead.
Silver Beaver nominations are due.
What is due?
Silver Beaver nominations are due before December 31st.
Silver Beaver nominations. So Silver Beaver turn those in before December 31st.
And
So
the nominations online.
Question.
Sure.
If we made a beaver nomination last year, did that carry over to this year, or does it have to be done again?
They do not carry over from year to year, so they have to be resubmitted if they did not receive it last year.
Okay, thank you.
Good question,
So
David.
please
Thank you.
resubmit, and do not put on there, please see attachment, because we do not see attachments. We need you to fill in all of the information in the appropriate areas, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
How,
All right.
how many can our council give this year, next year? So
It depends on how many units we have, but we look at all of the submissions that are submitted, and we award as many as we are allowed each year. So we're allowed one award per 60 units in the council. So please resubmit each year if they do not receive it. And we are working on setting up a gathering. So when that is done, then we will let everybody know. Sorry, we need to get into our individual breakouts.
You're just fine.
I just want to make sure it got announced.
You are just fine. We need to remember that this is an opportunity for us to ask questions and get answers to our questions. All right, so we're going to go ahead and split into our district breakouts at this time. Welcome back, everybody. All right, safety moment is hammock camping. Now, by raise of hands or thumbs up or some sort of signal, how many people have ever been hammock camping? Okay, and then the next question is, how many youth do you have within your units or that you know about that like to hammock camp? So think about that. I have seen hammocks that were stacked from in between two trees, and literally it was like 20 feet high. And that's before the safety moment hammock camping guidelines came out. So it was really scary, and I was thinking, how on earth would a student be able to, or not a student, teacher, student, how be able to do that? Oh, I dropped my microphone. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the good, the bad, and what the policies say. So the good, it's fun. There's minimal impact on the environment. It aligns with the leave no trace principles, so it helps to not stomp on different plants and things. So if there's campgrounds with a whole lot of people, it helps to minimize some of that impact when using proper tree straps. It's modular, so you can pack in different ways. You can customize your setup for the spring, summer, fall, and winter. I have camped in a hammock during the wintertime, and I actually slept warmer in my hammock with the proper setup than in a tent. And it also gets you up off of the ground, which I'll just say when we get more seasoned or youthfully challenged, getting off the ground is important because then we can actually get up in the morning. When used with a tarp, there can be more usable space for cooking and things like that. You can have a shelter pretty much up when it rains. It's off the ground, so you don't have to worry about level spaces or rocks on the ground or tree roots or wherever you camp. They're more comfortable to sleep in if you know how. Some people sleep in a hammock like a banana boat. You really should sleep at a diagonal. It actually helps straighten you up, and it's a lot more comfortable. And they're quick and easy to set up and take down. bad. Only one person can use them. Misuse can cause injuries. It can ruin trees with the wrong straps. So if the strap is too thin, it will dig into the tree, which is not healthy for the tree. There might be no trees. That's not fun. And then you have your sleep system and you have no way to use it. So what are you going to do? And sleeping in the car is not as comfortable. Believe me, I know. Weight savings isn't much. So you could get an ultralight tent for the amount of weight that costs. So if you like ultralight backpacking and stuff like that, that's a downside. They're hard to get into and out of for bathroom visits. I know, at least for me, I don't like to get up when I get into my hammock because it's hard to get up out of the hammock. And then it can be cold on the bottom. Now, here are some essential tips that we need to consider. And this is from scouting.org. So we need to make sure that we're following the manufacturer's instructions. Every hammock manufacturer has different guidelines, so we need to follow those. If it says don't hold more than 300 pounds, don't hold more than 300 pounds. If it says check the different straps for wear and tear before you use them each time, do that. A lot of people usually get hurt because they set up their hammocks incorrectly. Find secure hanging locations. So something that's solid, something that's not going to break. With that, make sure you look up so that you can see if there's any widow makers, because we don't want to go to camp and then a widow maker make our spouses widows. Check knots and fastenings. Make sure that how you set it up is strong. Avoid stacking hammocks. So it said in these, never stack hammocks on top of each other. It compromises their stability and increases the risk of accidents. So the guidelines is actually to keep the hammocks no more than 3 feet above the ground. That's the highest that they should go. So the height restrictions: hang hammocks no higher than 3 feet to prevent severe falls and injuries. I heard a story once where someone was at camp. It was a youth and they were in a hammock. They fell out of the hammock and hit their head on a rock underneath their hammock to the point where it opened up their cranium and they had to go to the hospital. So we just need to be mindful that those types of things can happen. Stay away from water. That way, if you're sleeping or whatever, you don't fall out and fall into the water and drown. No swinging or standing. So if people are using them by standing up and swinging and trying to jump off, that's not good. Even though I know some of us probably at a playground were on swings and we swung a lot and tried to jump out. I know from personal experience, it doesn't always feel good when you fall on the ground. Inspect your ropes. Make sure that they are good from wear and tear. Watch the weight limits, supervise kids in them, and protect the trees. Our local policy that applies to our camp facilities is hammocks tied to trees are not allowed. So any of the council camps, we cannot tie the hammocks to the trees. They must be hung with an independent hanger that is not hooked to the trees. And that is directly from Jeremy Bell. So that's what I have about the safety minute. All right. Let's give just a second for the rest of the people to move over. Thank you guys for being here. This is exhausting, but you guys are awesome. I don't want to take up too much of your time, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. basically with trainings, we need to understand where those trainings are and what we have to do. The weather training, that is required now each year, and then youth protection training. Make sure that you guys are getting trained. And then we're going to also talk about camp planning and discussion. So training, what we need to know. Open sesame. Come on, let's go. All right, so mandatory, we already went over some of this. Youth protection training, hazardous weather. Now there's specific position specific training. If you need to have the cub training, Baloo is required. So you need, if you are in cubs or no cubs, make sure that that happens. For Scouts BSA, there's training for merit badge counselors, troop committee, Scoutmaster, etc. You guys should know all of this. The area that we struggle with the most is the merit badge counselors. So if you are a merit badge counselor, get trained for that position. And then there's advanced leadership trainings for youth and adults. So there's trainers edge, firearm stuff, angler stuff, first aid training. All of this stuff is on utahscouts.org/training. And then there's other opportunities that we have, which are Achilles Council, Wood Badge, Commissioner College, and National Youth Leader Training for the youth. If you haven't gone to Wood Badge, or if you have gone, Wood Badge changes just like anything. The curriculum changes. So the Wood Badge that was done 10 years ago is not the same Wood Badge that is done now. So if you've gone to Wood Badge, try and go again. If you know people that need Wood Badge or whatnot, try and invite them. I know I wanted to go for 15 years, and then I was finally able to get there. Make sure that you guys do your trainings. Now, I'm going to show a video about planning a camp out, and we're going to have a mini discussion about that.
Whether your troop camps every month, every couple of months, or a little less often, it is up to your troop.
Okay, can you guys hear that? By thumbs up? Okay, thank you. Just double checking.
But some things need to be planned no matter how often. So let's talk briefly about how to plan a camp out. For the sake of this discussion, we're talking about a basic weekend camp out, not a week-long summer camp or high adventure. Those types of camping experiences typically require additional, more involved planning. Tip number 1, teach youth to plan from big to small. Start with the most significant foundational parts of a camp out, like a theme, hiking, winter camping, or boating, and which month of the year do you want to do this? Then move on to a slightly smaller idea, like what specific activities would the unit like to include during the camp out? You can move on to the minor details once significant decisions have been made. Deciding on event dates and themes 6 to 12 months ahead of time and sticking to the plan allows families to plan for upcoming campouts and also enable campsites to be booked when spots are still available and leave time for the other minor planning decisions to be made in the months and weeks leading up to the main event. Whether this campout is your troop's first, 14th, or 400th, let's look at some basic planning steps by considering the traditional questions of who, what, where, when, why, and how, but maybe not quite in that exact order. When? This was ideally decided during your annual planning. The frequency of your troops' campouts should fit the unit's goals, the scouts' desires, and the adults' availability. Keeping campouts and other unit events consistent and predictable helps families plan to have their scouts attend as many campouts as possible. Consistency helps everyone involved to know what to expect. Whatever the interval, It's beneficial to set and stick to an annual or biannual calendar where dates are set well ahead of time. Knowing who will plan the camp out shouldn't be left to the last minute. A team designs a camp out, which means there are many opportunities for youth leaders to step up. Taking charge of even one part of the camp out planning process is an excellent way for a scout to try out a position of responsibility without committing to a 6-month-long tenure. A critical role in camp out planning is a leader who can help guide group discussions. The senior patrol leader, or another scout could fulfill the planning leader spot. Utilize your patrol leaders and let them and their patrol plan the camp out. How things are divided up and who is planning which part can be decided by the patrol. At the Patrol Leaders Council, or PLC, the patrol leader can pass on requests for help or additional assignments to the other patrols. Equally crucial to a planning leader is someone to record the plan. An excellent job for the often underutilized scribe. It can also be helpful to have one scout recording working ideas for the group on either a whiteboard or a large sheet of paper, and another scout recording final decisions in a binder or on a laptop. Each campout should also have a specific adult, an assistant scoutmaster, assigned to advise and assist as needed. Be sure to let the scouts do as much planning as possible, as this is part of their learning process. What and where? Knowing the intended outcome for the campout helps the youth choose a suitable location. What additional activities will be included? Rock climbing, hiking, swimming, biking, backpacking, or snowshoeing? Once we have the basics of what is needed, we can look into locations that fit our needs. Some troops have a few go-to places where they like to camp, and if one of those works for this campout, great. But if something different is needed, then a thorough look into other options should be presented to the patrol to discuss and decide upon. What, who, and how? Don't forget to think about food, equipment, and other logistics. Who will be doing the meal planning, shopping, and cooking? Are there any other specific supplies needed? Make sure to communicate what each scout needs to bring. For example, if there is a bike trip, make sure to remind families to bring helmets and other typical equipment. Many units have a generic packing list to help new families and scouts be prepared. And of course, consider safety. What is the weather forecast for our planned location? Are all the scouts properly trained for our planned activity? Do we need to do some training practice before the camp out? Will we have enough adults to cover the youth protection requirements? What, if any, other safety items do we need to consider? Depending on where you're going for your camp out and what activities you have planned, there will of course be other details that will need to be discussed, evaluated, and decided upon. This is where an experienced scout or an assistant scoutmaster on the planning team can come in handy. Let's go back to why. In scouting, we are not just teaching the youth how to camp and all the skills they practice on the camp out. We are also teaching them how to set goals, how to work together, and how to plan. Let them dream big and figure out a way to make it happen. While the end goal of planning a camp out is the actual camp out, there is much to be learned in the planning process as well. Planning for a camp out might seem like tedious steps that should or could be done as quickly as possible. However, improper camp out planning can lead to issues during the camp out, as well as missed learning opportunities. The planning process itself can offer low stakes leadership positions, practicing compromise and critical thinking, and opportunities to work side by side with adults and other scouts. Camp out planning can be just as vital to a scout's development as learning how to pitch a tent, tie a knot, or build a fire. These tips should help get the ball rolling for planning a great camp out. And remember that each troop is different. So observing what works and what can't help your troop create more successful and exciting campouts too. Tip number 2, communicate. Communicating as many details in advance as possible ensures that the campout gets a place on the family calendar, which in turn leads to a better turnout. All the planning won't do a lot of good if the other members of the troop don't know about it. If your troop camps on a regular schedule, communication becomes easier. If your schedule varies, communication is even more important. Communication needs to include the date, time, and location, and enough other details to help the scouts be sure to pack the right equipment, clothing, and supplies to have a safe and fun camp out. Now it's your turn. Please take some time and discuss the questions on the screen. As always, thank you for all you do for scouting.
Okay, so there's a couple things that I want to highlight before we get to those questions. So there was a part in here that, let's see, where was it? Right here. All right, so the what, who, and how. When we plan a camp out, we need to make sure that we are paying attention to the age-appropriate guidelines for our scouts. So if I know that we did a roundtable at the Oquirrh Mountain District where we basically looked at the Guide to Safe Scouting, and I had the leaders actually come up with a lot of different ideas of different activities that they would want to do. And then I said, okay, with those activities, is there anything that relates to the Guide to Safe Scouting that would allow us or not allow us to be able to do those activities? And what was interesting with that is that we all had the opportunity to see that there are some things that youth might think about for different activities that we can't do under the guidelines of the scouting program. So those are just some things to keep in mind when we do camp out planning. We are the leaders, and we need to make sure that the youth know what those guidelines are. And if we don't know them, we need to learn them. Another thing that I saw was this. With campouts, we have to have 2 deep leadership. And if you are over females, a female leader has to be there. Make sure that you use the buddy system, and only registered leaders are allowed to stay overnight. So if you have a parent that wants to go, they should be registered in scouting. That's what my understanding is. If that is incorrect, someone can correct me. Let's see. So those are the main things that I wanted to discuss with that. So I'm going to move on to the next slide. So what step or tip will you add to those shared in this video? Let's do an open discussion. So you can either put your comment in the chat, or if you'd like to say something, you can unmute yourself and we'll try and take turns.
They spelled out a lot of really good basic information there as far as what order to do things in, planning your calendar out, either a half of a year, a full year at a time. They had some really good, strong advice there.
Thank you, Bud. I liked how they said, plan big to small. So have the big idea and then work your way down. And you don't have to have all the minor details. I know when we usually work with youth, they're like, we want to do this and this and this and this, and they haven't even thought about a place to go yet. So that happens all the time. And be consistent with your plan so that people know when you're going. When I was Scoutmaster, we went every month. And as we went every month, the youth knew that we were going every month, even if it was cold. And so we had to be more prepared. And I learned more as a leader in that my sleeping bag was not the best for sleeping in the cold. So I learned something too. But if we keep things consistent, it's even better.
That's
Anyone
very good. And if they know you're going to camp rain or shine, then they come prepared and it's no big deal. When I was a scoutmaster, the first couple of times we had some stormy looking campouts coming, parents would start to call, are you still going to go? Are you still going to go? Yeah. And after a while, they quit asking. They just knew we were going to go. And living in Layton, I was the scoutmaster in Layton, and we had 7 consecutive rainy and or snowy campouts. Now in Utah weather, that's hard to find 7 consecutive times of rain or snow to do that. But we did. We had rain and or snow on 7 consecutive campouts, and most of them weren't just a little sprinkle here and there. They were some big downpours and big snowstorms and all kinds of fun stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, we went and people knew it and people came prepared and we all still had fun. Life was good.
I was taught that if you don't ever camp in the rain, how can you learn to survive in the rain? So totally true.
We've
Anything else?
We've had better success since we've started utilizing formal duty rosters, so that the boys know what they're doing. They're assigned. Everybody has a job. All the jobs get done, and if special training is required, we make sure the boys are trained for the job they have.
So Harold, can you explain that a little bit more about your formal duty rosters and how they work? Because I know personally that your unit runs really well with the different responsibilities. So what can you give us as kind of feedback or tips or tricks?
Well, for example, the cooks are assigned, the cooks' assistants are assigned. They have setup responsibilities. So whoever, we've got a wash area where they're washing their hands, as well as a wash area for dishes that includes sanitation and all of that. And the people that are assigned to set those up and that are assigned to take them down. It's just everybody's got. So if you're a brand new scout working on tenderfoot, you've got to assist in the kitchen. So I wouldn't assign them to cook in the kitchen. I would assign them to assist. And then they know that they're there to assist and to be taught how to cook, so that when it comes time to cook one meal for second class, they've had some experience in the kitchen. They've been taught how that works. And then they're prepared to do one. And then when it's time to do all 3 for first class, they're prepared for that. So that's just one example. But, there's all kinds of things that go into setting up and running a successful camp. And if it's everybody's job, it's nobody's job. And if it's nobody's job, nobody's going to do it. So it just helps to have everybody with an assignment, and everybody knows the Monday before we go to camp what their assignment's going to be.
Yeah. And what I like is that if you have the patrols, each patrol can have their own specific groups do those specific assignments. So that is great. Thank you. Now, what's the hardest part about letting scouts plan for these campouts?
Making sure everything gets done.
Making sure everything gets done. I think one of the hardest parts is you give the youth an assignment and then they're supposed to do the assignment, but as soon as they leave you, they forget. So how can you get the information to the scout and to the parents in a way that allows the parent to know what's going on so that the kid doesn't forget? So we did little pieces of paper to send home, as well as sending a text to the parents that said, we sent a paper copy of the youth assignment home. Please follow up with your youth and let us know that you received the copy like we told them to tell you. So that was good.
Just walking.
Go ahead.
So one thing I've noticed, competition for campouts, grounds, sites. If you're near a national park in Utah, you have to reserve those sites sometimes it's 6 months in advance or whatever that window is. So that is something when the scouts are planning their yearly campouts, they need to get it back to your activities person so they can be ready to go when those campsites open up. You have to be able to turn and go another direction, or you'll find out that you've got one campsite that holds, 6 and you've got 18 going. So you need to get your activities chairperson involved when it comes to reservations for campsites that require those. There's dispersed camping, I know, but we have hit that wall when everybody had to be on the computer at something like 6 a.m. in the morning to try to get a spot. So just be aware that you need to share it back to your committee.
Well, thank you.
We generally invite the person responsible for booking campsites to the annual planning conference.
That's a good idea.
They're there to observe, not to participate, but they're there and they know what's going on.
Great idea. I'll let her know.
Anything else? It's the hardest part about letting scouts plan for the campouts.
I'd say menu, having balanced meals. Make sure that you have leaders check the patrols to make sure that their leaders are balanced and nutritious.
So not just pizza and chips and
You got it. You got it.
A hostess cakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then what camping traditions occur within your troop? Do you guys have any camping traditions that you do? I know for me, we had a tradition to try and go to a canoe base each year. And this was when I lived out east. And it was something that we looked forward to do. And we planned for it for the whole entire year. So what other traditions do you guys have?
We like to vary our summer camps either in or out of council. So the boys and girls have a great experience throughout the years that they're in scouting.
Okay, thank you, Stuart. Who else?
Troop 1481 is a special needs unit. And the hardest part that we really have is making sure we meet the diet restrictions, the medication issues, those kind of things, so that our scouts can enjoy the full camp. Also, we have to be very cognizant of the terrain of the camp, because we have some with mobility issues that any major ups and downs in the camps do not work well with our troop. So that's some of the things we have to consider. And if you have special needs scouts in your individual units, don't leave them out because you aren't looking at all of their needs.
Thank you for sharing that. I know I have a son with special needs, and the mobility thing is huge. So if, for instance, in Utah, there's an easy hike, make sure that you do your homework beforehand, because it might not be as easy of a hike as what someone with special needs can do. So thank you for sharing that perspective.
Something that's good for us, Ben, 3, sometimes 4, but at least 3 times a year, we'll have collected enough flags that each scout will lead a flag retirement with his patrol supporting and handling the flag itself. So everybody gets a chance to do that, and that's been really good experience for our guys.
That's awesome.
In Troop 20, one of our traditions is every year we will, usually it's in May, we'll have a crossover camp where we have all the units, the Cubs, the troop, the girls troop, and the crew come on a camp out together and have activities. It's great for the Cubs, especially because it gives them something to look forward to when they get in scouting, and then the scouts look forward to becoming members of the crew.
Awesome, thanks. What else?
My scouts don't like campfire programs, but I make them do them anyway, and they have fun and they like it, but they always grumble beforehand.
Yeah, I love the campfire programs. That was my opportunity to be able to teach the youth about being, or about life in general. And not only did I have those type of things, but I had a nightly senior patrol leader meeting where we basically talked to, or did a start, stop, continue for how things were going, so we could make changes the next day. And those were really helpful to do. Any other ideas?
You know, before, we don't just send the youth to bed, we gather, sing vespers together, and then we pray, and then we go to bed. So that's been a good way for us to end each night.
I like that. That's a good idea. Okay, if no one has anything else, I'm going to ask this question. So in the chat, or you can say it out loud, but preferably in the chat so everyone can see it. If you guys have different camping spots that you like to go that might be free or inexpensive, that are easier to get into, I know that we're in all parts of the council right now. If you have places that you like to go and want to share some of those places of ideas of places you can go ahead and put that in the chat for us. Hopefully I was clear on my explanation on that. I liked how the person was talking about the national parks, and some of you are really close to national parks and it's hard to get in. I know that like I live in Tooele, so we have to travel at least an hour just to be able to get to any of the camps generally. Let's see. So some ideas, Topaz Mountain, if you're willing to do a service project to camp for free. Bountiful Pond. Anything else? I know out here in Tooele, there's the Tooele Wigwam. It's actually run by the city now, and they have done a lot of updates to the Wigwam. They now have asphalt that goes into the camp and a pavilion that's actually finished with bathrooms, and it's a lot better. Arches Group Camp. You need to reserve 12 months in advance. Thanks, Kevin, for that. Willow Park and Lehigh. Go ahead.
One more. If you go to the council site, OA has listed a bunch of campsites available too. And you can add to that. But there's a whole bunch listed there for our whole entire council that the OA has provided for everybody's access.
That's good information. Thank you for sharing. So there's lots of different places. If you guys have some like higher, I can't think today, higher whatever the word is, high adventure. Yeah, if you guys have any high adventure camps that you like to go to, that would be good too. I know that there's a camp in Moab that the council runs, which not a lot of people talk about, but that would be a fun one to try and go to. There was City of Rocks National Reserve. So where is City of Rocks National Reserve, Stuart?
Up in Idaho.
Southern
Up
Idaho.
Southern Idaho. Awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it's just down from Burley.
Down from Burley. And then Island Park is beautiful too.
I threw a link in the chat a couple of years back. Someone had shared this set of maps with me, and it's a Davis County. Well, it's broader than Davis County, but it's a set of locations either for paid or free campsites, and I mean there's like over 70 different sites, and they spread across, close by to a little further away. That's been helpful for our trip.
That's awesome. And then I wonder if there's anything like this in the southern part of Utah. So it looks like there's one towards Nephi and towards so Little Sahara. But I don't see any farther south. So
I think the main focus was Trapper Trails at the time.
Okay, that's good to know. I really like that. And where did you find this?
Oh, like I said, someone had shared it. You can click on the little link on the left-hand side. It was created by Eric LeBaron, and his contact information was here. So I think he put together all the tags, and
Okay.
I don't know if he's maintained it or not, but I've just kept it handy because again, it had a bunch of like free or easy hikes, or there were places you could reserve, and we just kind of use it if we wanted somewhere different.
Adding on to that Davis County thing, I know if you talk to your city officials about the parks and recreation, if you're willing to do service, they are a lot more amenable to letting you use their facilities for free or very cheap. So just getting in touch with your cities and asking them permission and offering service goes a long way.
Yeah, thank you, Angie. All right, so I have one more thing with the discussion. So what's different about long-term camp planning and overnight camp planning? And when we go, like what are some of the different steps that we need to remember?
For long-term planning, eat your frozen food on the first day.
Eat frozen food, or the heavy food, like the steak if you're going backpacking, right?
Right.
I like how someone put, what is different? How much toilet paper you need to bring. You need to make sure that you plan for all of the different snacks that the youth are going to want, making sure that you have enough water, things like that. So as you guys think about camping and the planning of those camps, I would highly suggest you guys do your 6 to 12-month plans and think about the different types of camps that you're going on. What are the themes? What activities are you going to do? How often are you going to go? When you make plans, who's going to do the note-taking and the final decision-making? What are the outcomes of what you want? So what is the vision?
Leave room. That's right.
What was that, Cindy?
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry.
But we also need to remember the different supplies and the equipment and making sure that we're trained for the proper stuff. So lots of good ideas today. So those are the main things that I wanted to cover today. If you guys have any questions or comments or need anything, I'll be here for the next 15 minutes. But thank you guys for participating. We're going to go ahead and end tonight. But before we do, I have a Scoutmaster Minute that I want to share. Now, this basically is a story about the ambulance down in the valley. and there is a ridge that basically sits above a canyon, and this ridge has a fence. And if people get too close to the fence, they will fall off of the ridge and fall down into the valley, and the ambulance has to come and pick them up in the valley. So we need to do the training and stuff beforehand, especially with our youth, so that they know to basically stay away from the ledge, to know what the proper procedures are and things like that. So we and they don't end up as being those needing to be picked up by the ambulance in the valley. I would recommend that you guys look that story up and read it on your own. It is probably a 5 or 10 minute read, but it is totally worth it. Remember, you guys are the eyes and ears and the heart of scouting, and we need to show that to our youth too. And as we do that, our programs are going to grow and be the best they can be. So thank you guys for your participation. And we hope to see you next roundtable for the council roundtable. That will be in January. And then, Bud, thank you. And thank you for your comments. And those people that didn't comment, thank you for being here. You really do, or you are appreciated. And we know that you're out there and you are loved.
I'm about ready to drop off here myself, but I just wanted to say thank you for setting these up. I know it can't be a small undertaking to do it, but I think a lot of leaders do benefit from this massive access to a lot, probably hundreds of years of scouting experience amongst all the leaders.
Yeah, I agree. I love Roundtable for that reason, and just the fact of being able to communicate with different people about things that they already have questions to, you know? Okay, well, thank you for being here today. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end this meeting, and you guys have a good night. Thank you.